You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So we're now going to be joined on the phone with Michael. We're going to be talking all about how insurance companies aren't catering to the needs of those in the forces. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us. I was hoping you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. My name's Mike Harwood. I'm a retired Air Force Air Vice-Marshal. I did 34 years in the Royal Air Force, mostly flying aeroplanes. And then one of the things I got involved with since leaving, having been frustrated with insurance and financial services and around during my career, was then going, well, can I do anything about it? Or do I just whine and complain? So I joined up with some Army and Navy colleagues who feel strongly about this sort of thing, and then setting up the military mutual. And to be honest, when I first started this, I didn't even know what a mutual was, and I had to learn about this concept of an organization where the people who are part of it all own the company. And so there aren't shareholders, there aren't nasty profits going to give people ridiculous salaries. It's owned by the people who have policies. And we decide how, or as a group, what to do with it. So we create this thing we call the military family, make it aware that it's there, that it can do things. And it's not just serving members of the armed forces we're looking at, it's veterans, it's people who've got relatives who are in the armed forces, and frankly, anybody who supports the very ethos of the armed forces, that sense of service rather than just seeking profit, and then trying to deliver products after really carefully listening to what they need.
So I was hoping you could tell our listeners more about this research and what it's shown about the military families in our area.
Yeah, your specific area, interestingly, is exactly the same as the rest of the country. So this is a national problem. And the fact is that people are frustrated that their specific needs are not being met and people aren't listening. Let me give you an example. That half of the people say that an insurance product for their home, suddenly they get the annual price hike, not very much, but it just goes up year after year. That's it. That seems fair enough in a way. Insurance is dull. You just put it aside, pay the money and forget it because you hate insurance. Instead of realizing, no, you need to tackle that. You need to look at how much you're paying and decide, is it really the right amount? And with an organization like the Military Premium, which is dedicated to service, to helping people get the right product at the right price, and then creating this military family, whether you want house insurance or car insurance or a mortgage, or you're a small business seeking to cover your small business, the Military Mutual has got something for you.
So why are people feeling dissatisfied by insurance companies?
Well, I think 2016 has, on all sorts of levels, proven to us that your opinion counts. And if you then get into a bunch of people who have the same sort of opinions, you can start moving mountains. And so we are now in a company, the Military Mutual, that is really interested in those opinions. You've got a voice and carry on using it. And so this survey, which is really quite disappointing for many companies who I know have been trying hard to listen to their customers, and the customers are saying, well, you're not. Well, we've got to redouble, all of us have got to redouble our efforts. And the Military Mutual, we are most definitely doing that because we feel part of the military community.
And I suppose that's the important thing, because I suppose, it's very easy once you've taken out an insurance, it's easier to just keep paying that each year because, you're going to have all the problems of sorting something else out new, and there's the same problems wherever you go. So it's good that you're sort of listening to that.
Yes, exactly. And because it's a dull business normally, and if it's not too much money, you just set it aside and you don't want to think about it until that awful day when you suddenly have to claim. Well, now there are things where I think, talk to the Military Mutual about your circumstances. So can I give you a quick example? When I came back from an overseas tour, I'd been away from the UK for 3.5 years, and I discovered that my no claims bonus for car driving had disappeared entirely, and I wasn't entitled to any no claims bonus. And I've been driving for over 30 years. And I felt that was just wrong and unfair because of my armed forces work overseas. But that's the way it was. Well, the Military Mutual has changed that. And it's looked at all the reasons, like living behind the wire, as we call it, behind an armed guarded gate in your house, and yet you still need property insurance in case you have a fire, for instance. But you discover that there's no allowance for the fact that you've got different security arrangements. They're different from other people. And the Military Mutual is listening to those specific needs. So that's what we're after, is getting people to realize they're part of the military family, showing them that we've got a range of products with exciting new products coming online. As an example, I've discovered that 22% of our veterans want to then start their own business when they leave the armed forces, because they're the kind of people who like running their own business. They're leaders. They're in a leadership position. And then the sort of rather tedious bit, dare I say it, of getting the insurance covers they need. Well, how do they get there? How do they sort it? Well, now, if you talk to the Military Mutual, you've got a bunch of people who get what you're trying to do as a veteran and start your second business in your life and survive and do it at the right price. So you give us a call, because we're listening and we've got a product for you.
Well, that's often the problem sometimes, that you don't realise that it's an issue until sometimes it's too late and you're in that situation.
Yes, and it's awful. Anyone who's had an accident or a problem with a house and it's nothing there, maybe not even their fault, and something's gone on, and then you discover that someone's looking at the small print. One of the powerful things with our products is not only do you have what you're covered for, and it's very clear without jargon in the paperwork, but then with a mutual, you have a thing called discretion, which means that when there's been a set of circumstances that fall outside the norm, then we as a board of directors, we can meet together and go, listen, X and Y happened. It doesn't, fall into the normal way run of events. What should we do here? And again, our entire focus is supporting that person who's in that horrible situation and helping them. Just like we did when we were in the armed forces, we had that sense of loyalty to each other, that sense of service. And it's not about because I'm going to get more money out of you. It's because it's what we do. It's the ethos that we live by. And so we're trying to bring the same thing into the insurance industry.
So do you have any more advice for those battling insurance companies?
For people to realise they have a voice and they can really ask some hard questions. And in a way, whether you like it or not, just go through those hard questions, because it's going to save you money. And come the day you have a real problem and you need to claim, you've then got the right cover for you and your family and your business. So if you're having a battle, you don't need to have a battle. Talk to a company that doesn't deal in battles. It deals in helping you. So ring up the Military Mutual and we'll help.
So where can our listeners find out more information?
Well, obviously the internet. If you go to the internet and just look up the Military Mutual, you'll immediately find our website. You go on there and all the information you want is there. There's a free phone telephone number, 0800 088 2283. And that's a group of human beings who live in this country. They work in a call centre in Portsmouth, who understand the armed forces, they understand the military family, and they're there to help you and to be able to show you what products we've got and to make sure that you're properly covered, because we want to protect what matters, and that's you, your family, and your business.
Well, if you're happy we've covered everything, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time out to tell our listeners all about that. It's really appreciated here at BRFM Bridge Radio on the Monday Night Community Show.
Brilliant. All the best to you in the arms of sheppey.